My name is Boris and
Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I've also got some cool deals in the description, which includes an offer for Surfshark VPN and also an offer for CREP CHIEF Notify, the biggest reselling network in the UK. Anyway, in this video today, we are going to talk about what exactly is happening with Boris Johnson, why his parliamentary career and any hopes that he has of being Prime Minister again is on the rail. Dangerous time for Boris Johnson. First of all, we are going to watch a video from the Privileges Committee meeting that they had with Boris Johnson, and we're going to react to a short video. Then we're going to go into exactly what will happen, why it's happening, and what could happen as a result of this investigation into whether he misled Parliament when he told them that he was assured that no parties and no wrongdoing was taking place. Let's have a look.
Just put a point.
Harriet Harman.
I, along with my colleagues, was in the House at the time when these assurances were given. And
I knew it was bullshit then.
Serious assurances. You told the House you'd receive assurances. Would you not expect
You took serious assurances from Boris Johnson.
Dismayed to hear that it was not from the senior civil servants, it was from political appointees, that they themselves had doubts about it. It only covered one gathering, it didn't cover the other three, and it only covered the rules, it didn't cover the guidance. I think if you'd have said that to us in the House, and also you were there at the time, so it's a bit hard to understand.
Sorry.
Could you let me finish my point?
Oh.
You were there at the time, so it's a bit hard to understand what the nature of
I'm pretty sure I heard Base Hunter on the decks, but I didn't see it, so
if I was
didn't
going
know
at
it
100 miles an hour and I saw the speedometer saying 100 miles an hour, it would be a bit odd, wouldn't it, if somebody assured me that I wasn't, because it's what you've seen with your own eyes.
Yeah, with great
so
respect.
do you actually think that we would be entitled to be a bit dismayed about the flimsy nature of this assurance when we took it at face value that these assurances amounted to
flimsy
something,
nature
and it looks from
sums
what you've
up
told us
Boris
in
Johnson's
answer to
entire
Mr. Costa's
career.
questions, that they did not amount to much at all.
No, so first of all, I think, great respect, Chair, if you're talking about the December the 18th, 2020 event, I don't know, there's some confusion. I was not there.
That's one of the three.
I was not there.
You were there.
And if you look at the statement that I made in the House of Commons, and because this was the relevant issue, because the Allegra video related to the December 18th event.
I was not there.
The leader of the opposition's
at another
questions
party
the
somewhere
previous week
else
related to the December the 18th event. I was answering about the December the 18th event, because that was the matter in question. I had received, as I said, repeated assurances by different people and at more than one occasion and more than one person that the event was in accordance with the rules. And I had that both from, as I said, Jack Doyle and James Slack. Now, the question that I think the committee is trying to unpick is...
My teddy bear told me that I wasn't at a party, so I believed him.
And the former Director of Communications about one event, no matter how eminent they may be. And I think the answer is yes.
He himself had doubts.
I think... No, sorry, forgive me. He offered... That's not correct, Chair. The Director of Communications, Jack Doyle, did not say...
you a bullshitter?
At the time that he briefed me about the December the 18th event, that he had doubts about whether the guidance was followed.
He did have doubts. Can I just
ask... Sorry. Where's your evidence for that?
It's in the WhatsApp. Sir Bernard is going to continue this question.
Sorry, can I just say, he did not express those doubts to me. He did not express those doubts to me.
He had doubts. The person whose assurances you were relying on only gave assurances in relation to one gathering, not the others. Only gave assurances of the rules, not about COVID. It was a line.
Chair, I was being asked about the one gathering. The leader of the opposition, you played his clip just now. That was, everybody saw it. He was asking about, he said, was there a party in which loads of people came to a Christmas party in Downing Street?
Oh, he's getting agitated,
isn't
isn't
he?
he?
That was the question. That was then, when I said that the guidance was followed completely at all times, that was then called into question by what Allegra Stratton had to say.
Do you recognise those reports?
I went home. Hold on. His fictional party was a business meeting and it was not socially distanced.
Okay, so there's Boris Johnson just going round and round in circles, trying to get him out of a hole that he dug himself. Basically, he knows he's lied. The entire country knows he's lied. Now his excuse is, I was assured that I didn't break the rules or the guidance or the regulations, the ones that he made and was present for in making. He was there in the meetings when these were getting decided. He approved of all these regulations, all these guidelines, and all these COVID laws. He was there. When they get broken by his own team and himself, he's like, I was told I wasn't breaking any of the rules. Your rules. The ones you made. The ones that you should have known. The ones that you should have known off by heart. Okay, so who is chairing the committee first and foremost, or who chaired the committee? Who is chairing the investigation into Boris Johnson? So you have the Privileges Committee has 7 members, including the chair. Conservative MPs are in a majority on the committee with 4 MPs. There are 2 Labour MPs, one of whom currently chairs the committee, which is Harriet Harman, and 1 SNP. The balance of the committee reflects the broader balance of parties in the House of Commons as a whole. The Privileges Committee is separate from the Standards Committee. Do you remember the Standards Committee? They are the ones that handed down the suspension to Owen Paterson and investigated Owen Paterson when concerns arose about his lobbying to the government. What can the Privileges Committee do as part of its investigation? What evidence is it drawing on? Like all select committees, the Privileges Committee is able to call for persons, papers and records relevant to the inquiry. I believe they have seconded the Sue Gray report and were reflected on that as well as part of the investigation. Okay. And in August 2022, the government responded to a request to hand over certain documents, in the words of the committee, documents which were so heavily redacted it rendered them devoid of any evidential value. The committee had further engagement with the government over this, and in November 2022, all relevant material was provided on an unredacted basis. Following this, in January 2023, the committee contacted 23 witnesses to request they provide written evidence alongside a statement of truth, something equivalent to making an oral statement under oath. The committee also requested evidence from Johnson in July 2022. It wrote to him requesting relevant materials and invited him to provide an initial written submission to the committee, including details of witnesses he felt, so basically his teddy bears, he could give to the committee. In August 2022, Johnson informed the committee that he had no relevant material in his possession related to their request for evidence. In January 2023, Johnson disclosed 46 WhatsApp messages to the committee in response to a direct and specific request. The Privileges Committee also, unlike other committees, has the ability to compel MPs to appear before them. Yeah, so MPs have to go and answer to the charge. Once the committee has concluded its investigation, it then decides whether Boris Johnson did mislead Parliament and whether it was in contempt of Parliament. So basically that it presented an obstacle to Parliament's proceedings. Yeah, that's what contempt means. Now, if it does find him in contempt of misleading Parliament, the committee will report its findings to the House of Commons. They will also offer their recommended sanctions. MPs will then vote on these sanctions. Normally, it is, in the cases like this, it is a free vote. MPs are not whipped to vote for whichever way the party wants them to vote for. A free vote means that they can vote in it any which way they like, which should be how it is. When Owen Paterson had his judgment handed down to the House of Commons for ratification, Boris Johnson whipped the Conservative MPs to vote against it. What kind of sanctions could be applicable to Boris Johnson if he gets found guilty, essentially? Possible sanctions could include suspension from the Commons for a number of days, a suspension of 10 sitting days or 14 calendar days or more, recommended in reports from the Committee on Standards. So it would be the same basis for the Privileges Committee because this is based on the Standards Committee. It would trigger a petition under the Recall of MPs Act 2015, and the Commons Speaker has ruled that a similar recommendation by the Privileges Committee would have the same effect as the Standards Committee, which I've already said. Any sanctions recommended by the committee would have to be approved by a vote of the whole Commons, which is expected to be a free vote. as Boris Johnson no longer holds ministerial office, the only sanctions that the committee could recommend relate to his status as an MP. Now, if it comes to the Recall of MPs Act, it will trigger a recall petition. Then a recall petition would have basically a vote in his constituency. If they vote basically to keep Boris Johnson, then he's fine. If they vote against Boris Johnson, if enough of them vote against Boris Johnson, it would invoke a by-election. But do you think this is what Boris Johnson deserves? Do you think he deserves to be questioned about Partygate, about his role in facilitating Partygate, and in his role in allowing all this rule breaking to happen under his watch? Let me know what you think in the comments, and as always, I'll see you next time.
My name is Boris and I like to keep up.